it's always been a really quality presentation, IDEX. There's been an enormous amount of support and energy put into the IDEX presentation at conferences, but I was already a client for your out-of-house stuff, and I'd used some of your services like the pathology and the medicine specialist before, and I was pretty impressed with that. And one of the things I felt when I made the decision to go with IDEX is, God, I might have Graham Swinney perched on my shoulder. He might be there for me. And sure enough, that's what's happened. It's been amazing the amount of support that I've used and had over the 2 years in terms of interpreting difficult cases. And as a vet on my own, it's tough sometimes because you don't have someone to sort of stand next to you and go, what do you think of these results? And that's what the IDEX internal medicine people have been for me, is just like little birds on my shoulder helping me. It was such an interesting little experience because I'd go from one vendor to the next and then I'd go back again and they'd say, oh no, you've got to consider product cost, and don't forget that, you know, we don't have all that QC that you have to do with IDEX. And Vipa Labs would say, you're going to get me, I'm going to be there full time, and they literally had one employee. And then Abaxis would again say, look, we don't have a high maintenance contract, and we're much cheaper in consumables. And then I'd go back to IDEX, and the thing that really tipped me over the edge was Graham Swinney opening his arms and saying, you get me, you get me. When you're on your own, it's tough. It really can be tough, and you feel very isolated at times. And so I just feel like I'm not isolated anymore. Really what you get is you get a whole team of incredible internal medicine specialists across all species, might I add. Like if I have a horse case, there's somebody there that's savvy with horse pathology. And if I have an issue with the equipment, I don't have to wait, you know, more than probably an hour to get that somebody on the phone helping me online. They dial up online and they get on their gear and they go, okay, we've got this and this going on. And I like the fact now that you're a big organization with a lot of people. I don't mind paying for that. And I realize I've got to pay. If I want that, I have to pay for it. So there's resources behind the scene that I have not explored nearly enough, that add to the fact that I'm really pleased to be on board with IDEX. I've been able to be a better diagnostician right there in the clinic, because as a rural practice, it was a 24 to 48 hour turnaround to send things to the lab. So we had to collect it, fill out the forms, package it up, take it to the courier because they don't pick up from us, wait 24 hours at least, hope that it was packaged properly and didn't get damaged or the blood wasn't compromised, then get the results back. Yeah, we did get them directly into our practice management system, which was great. And then, you know, interpret them. And most clients are sort of more inclined, if I can do it right there and then, they're more inclined to take that up. And it's more valuable to me as a diagnostician than if I have to wait 24, 48 hours. The integration, I put it through on my practice management software, which is EasyVet. It goes through to the central Vet Connect or Vet Station, and I run it, and then it comes all the way back to that patient record. So I don't have to spend any time putting it all back together. And the presentation that I get that I can print out and then discuss in front of the client is really, really professional. The other lovely thing is that if I get and this happened yesterday actually, I had my staff in the clinic running some tests, and I was at home and I could look up the test results at home, talk to the client without having to, you know, fax anything or scan anything. You know, it was absolutely fantastic. And sometimes if I'm driving in the car and I need to review something, I can get onto Vet Connect and look up the results, and they're there. And then if I run results for an animal a second time, I have a bit of history from the first time. So I found that integration just to be absolutely fantastic. The equipment has allowed me to be able to get to the problem quickly, but also justify doing longer consults. If I didn't have this equipment, I would not be running half as many tests as I run, because it's not valid to have a result 24 to 48 hours later. You know, a GDV, I can do, you know, I can assess a GDV really quickly with blood results to determine what's the prognostic outcome of this case, if we take it to surgery or if we don't, or and I can give clients a much better view of what we're dealing with most of the time. I mean, sometimes you'll have really serious cancers that don't necessarily show up on blood work, but the fact that you've got a sick dog and nothing shows up tells you something anyway. So yeah, my ability to function as a vet is so much better than it was. And as I say, I often say to the staff in the clinic, I don't know how we did anything without this equipment before. Oh, this is a magnificent feature. So let's say I run a Eclipse 17, which for those that don't know is a profile of 17 parameters on the biochemistry machine, on the Catalyst machine. So let's say I run 17 parameters and I get a couple of weird and wacky results. You can click down on those results and you can see all the differentials for, okay, if this is high, if this is low, if this is within normal range. So it gives me like an instant textbook online instead of me having to go and look up a pathology book. And it's being updated all the time. So as you get better, you update it, and then I get better because I'm looking at updated material. And that has been hugely helpful and covers up all my deficits as a veterinarian when I'm talking to my staff. Oh yes, it's low, so it must be this, or this. And it's high, it must be this, or this. So that has just been fantastic. As I run these tests and use this equipment, I get better as a clinician. I would have no qualms of only recommending IDEXX at this stage based on my experience. It's paid for itself over and over and over again in professional satisfaction and client-patient outcomes, to be able to see things right. You know, I had a little dog the other day that turned out to be a really bad diabetic, and I wouldn't have got that day if I hadn't had the gear that I had. You know, we were seeing ketones, we were seeing high blood glucose, and I wouldn't have had the opportunity to test that. You know, I could have done it with a little glucometer, and I could have done it with a little urine dipstick, but this just gave me a whole bigger picture of this diabetic case, that it was actually going into a ketoacidotic crisis, and we had to intervene really quickly. And I didn't think we were going to save this dog, but this dog is now bouncing around happy again. And those are the sort of things that, you know, when I go to bed at night, they're the things that ring my bell, is being able to say, geez, I get that dog through. And I couldn't do it without this gear. And I'm not sort of being paid to say this, but it really has made a phenomenal difference to my professional satisfaction in this job.